We're back yet again with another Alien movie. There's been, in total, 9 Alien and Alien-based movies. Yeah, I know, I had the same exact reaction. It took the world by storm for its grotesque effects, suspenseful atmosphere, and the extremely creepy facehuggers. Alien Romulus is the newest to the franchise, and behind the mind of the new director, things may be taken up to another level. How well does it succeed? Put on your spacesuits and get ready for our spoiler-free review of Alien Romulus. The new addition in the Alien franchise takes place between the first and the second movie, so you can expect some solid fan service, especially if you're a fan of the first movie. The story follows a pair of siblings, one of which is a synthetic human AI. They embark on a mission with a group of bandits, basically as they try to retrieve some loot for what I thought is profit. They're told that it will be an in-and-out mission, quick and simple, but unfortunately, and as you can imagine, that is absolutely not the case and couldn't be further from the truth. What embarks next is a roller coaster ride of carnage, bad decisions, fan service, and overall chaos. Let's turn our attention to the characters and the actors. The lead is played by Cailee Spaeny, sorry if I mispronounced her name, who looks exactly like Jennifer Lawrence from The Hunger Games in some of the scenes. I swear it was a splitting image in some of the scenes though, not all of them. I thought she was very good as the lead and had just recently seen her in Civil War, which I thought she was great in. She ends up being your typical cool protagonist that puts up a fighting chance against the Xenomorphs. And she portrayed the range of emotion that you'd come to expect in a sci-fi horror movie like this very well. I actually think that horror movie actors are pretty underrated and usually don't get the credit that they deserve, especially when they have to be bringing up this high level of fear, especially in an environment like this. Her brother Andy, the AI, is played by David Jonsson, and their chemistry as brother and sister is very interesting, one that added heart to the movie. The movie does a good job at first, starting off slowly and beginning to show their dynamic and how much they care for one another. Especially Andy is programmed specifically to do what's best for his sister Rain. Not to reveal too much, but Jonsson does a very good job as a synthetic human with the mannerisms and the change of pace and personality early on in the movie. It was convincing, and the relationship was one of the things that gave life to the cast of characters. The other group of bandits and the other crew members were really just background noise, to be honest, not much personality, some of which were UK, and as a small little mini gripe, it was a little hard to understand at times, but obviously, you know, that's a small criticism. But even though they try to push the narratives where one of them is Rain's ex, it doesn't really add too much. I don't know if I can really take off pointers for that one, since we're not really here to have a Breakfast Club level of camaraderie, but I would have liked to see a little more character or personality to make you feel more for when they're actually in a dangerous situation. In the same vein as the characters, we have a cameo from the first Alien. Not going to spoil who this is, but they use CGI to replicate this particular character, and it just looks terrible. I get why they had this particular person in there, but I just could not get past the graphics. It completely took me out of the movie and made me question if they really needed to do that and was it worth it. There's some moments when they zoom into this person's face and it just looks bad, especially the mouth movement. It looks like a video game. I would have been better if they got rid of the fan service for some better visuals. Again, it's a trade-off, and obviously it kind of does make sense in the story, but I feel like they could have had a random person on the ship or maybe someone new. Not sure, but just not what they did. I have to deduct some points off for that one because it just totally took me out of the movie. I was very excited to see who was directing this particular movie. Fede Alvarez directed Don't Breathe, which alone is one of my favorite underrated horror movies and a great testament to how to do suspense correctly. I thought putting him in the world of Alien, especially with how suspenseful and tense the other movies are, especially the first one, the alarms ringing, the clanking of the aliens, just the perfect environment to create tension. Under his direction, the movie is really well executed. The overall effects, the atmosphere, minus the previously mentioned CGI on the particular character, are all really good. The scenery and the visuals are also great. The old ship and the space shots in particular are extremely good looking and very immersive, especially when you're seeing it on a big screen. Along with some of the action sequences, are unique and utilize some of the gadgets to create some really cool scenes. I especially liked how they used gravity to their advantage in some of the scenes, and the impending countdown also added some more tension to it. When things get bad, the movie actually really does shine. As far as the fan service goes, I thought that they did a pretty good level of it. I don't think they overdid it with the fan service. I believe that people will get a good kick out of some of the things that they included in this, but overall I do feel, minus the CGI character I'm referring to, they didn't really cram it down our throats as much as some other movies do. Oh, and I almost forgot to talk about one of the biggest characters of the movie, the alien or the Xenomorphs. Since the first movie of Alien has always had amazing practical effects, way ahead of its time when it came back, I was expecting the same thing with this one, and the grotesque and unsettling cocoons and slimy nature of them are back in full effect, thankfully. No complaints at all about the facehuggers and the Xenomorphs. They look and sound exactly how they should, and the effects are still great to this day. There's also a little more than just those two aliens that appear, but I won't spoil that. The particular part in question, if you know what I'm talking about, it's a bit weird and random, but effective since I heard gasps and people being confused in the seats around me, which I guess isn't a reaction altogether. Alright, so I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here, and unfortunately, the movie is a suspect of this very topic I'm about to talk about, cliches and gimmicks. I swear that every single movie I see nowadays, especially horror movies and action movies, do this. I'd say about 95+% of movies do this and adds nothing at all, and in fact takes away a lot. The moment when someone pivotal is about to be killed or something comes in last minute and saves them. It's the laziest trope, and this alone isn't the worst part. It's the fact that the person or the creature that's about to kill them or do major damage to them stops and stares at their victim because they are the main characters, where otherwise they would have killed them immediately with zero hesitation. There's no reason to be doing anything other than immediately killing them and disposing of them. It makes movies so predictable and obvious, and I see it time and time again. The last minute save, the Deus Machina, coming out of nowhere and saving the day at the last second. Not to spoil anything in particular for this movie, but there are ways to write cool and intense last minute scenes without doing that. This is another movie that falls into that trap, and I'm just frankly tired of it. Write it a different way, or don't have it at all. Totally throw a wrench in the gears and do something that's never been done before, or just don't do it at all. Okay, my rant is over. The pacing is pretty solid and what you've come to expect from a movie like this. It starts off slow for exposition, then never really slows down, and that's really what I'd expect and want from a horror sci-fi movie like this. I thought the ending itself, the very ending, was a bit lackluster. Pretty cool, but the very end is just really extremely redundant and a little uninspired. All in all, I think that this is a very solid addition to the series. I know it sounded like I had a lot of gripes, but especially with the trajectory of the series in recent time, I feel that this one's pretty solid. I feel like there's been a little too many of these movies. I'm surprised 9 total was the number, but the first one is an absolute classic and way ahead of its time and absolutely groundbreaking. Romulus will be sure to quench that alien itch if you've had it and are a fan of the series. I did have my gripes, and the movie, as I mentioned, is a bit generic at times, and some lackluster decisions could have made it better if they hadn't done that. But I think the execution, the music, and the acting are all very good, and it's just a pretty fun ride overall. I was entertained, and there are some pretty memorable moments. So, not the best thing I've seen this year, or horror in that genre, but pretty decent overall. I think Alien Romulus fits in a perfect 7 out of 10. Let me know below if you're a fan of the series and what you thought of Romulus, Alien Romulus. If you like this review and want to see more, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit that notification bell to stay up to date. Thank you for joining us on this review, and catch you on the next video.